honored that I've been asked to, in a sense, speak first and to ensure that the others speak after me. We all knew Anne. We all know Anne. We all admire Anne. In one way or another, she's a person to whom I believe, and I don't think anyone would deny this, changed each of us, changed our lives in one way or another. She cared about you, who were students here. She cared about this college. She cared about the staff and colleagues. And many other students here, in Duino, in Toronto before she came to any of these places. She cared about her husband, John. She loved her husband, John. She was a lovely person. A warm personality, cheerful, positive. From my perspective, a totally trusted colleague. A dedicated professional. And that rare combination, a great friend. She changed people's lives always for the better. Jean-Paul knows this. They were a great couple. Can you think of Anne without thinking of Jean-Paul? Can you think of Jean-Paul without thinking of Anne? I can't. So, Jean-Paul, our thoughts have been with you over the past months. And our admiration for the loyalty and the dedication you gave to Anne in those final weeks. It was something, and the regular logs, it was disturbing and upsetting for us, but it was also warming in a very unique way, in a very modern way, I think. I believe you agree with me. Anne lives on in our memories, in many photos. That's still my favorite. That's the Anne I want to remember, the Anne I will remember. That smile, that openness, that what can I do for you? We're here to reflect on Anne, to celebrate the fact that we knew her, she knew us, she gave herself to us, and we in turn responded in such an easy and natural way. She was quite a woman, quite a woman. Okay, I'm going to ask Chris now to come up and speak as a student, former student and as a friend.
Yes. So I just have a few little. What's that? Oh, just a reminder: the magnets are traveling around, a little fridge magnet with some words that Anne had for us. They're traveling around great. So Anne was one of the first people I met when I came here because she was in the car that picked me up from Flekke. And I arrived, I think it was Betsy with me? I can't remember. And I remember Heidi was also with us. And so that was she was one of the first people who introduced me to the college, took me to Denmark House, told me which room I was in, got there and discovered that the best beds had already been claimed, and all those usual things. And Anne was somebody that just immediately, she was such a part of the life of Denmark House, and Jean-Paul, whether it was our house meetings, baking for house meetings, there was a lot of that. I'm sure many of you tasted the world's greatest banana bread, fresh from Anne's oven. Anne became a very important mentor to me. In second year at college, as I'm sure all of us did, we all had our challenges. We all needed somebody to go and talk to, just to sit there and listen, whether it was university stress, or stress about EE, or in my case, a little bit of room stress. Any of you that may have visited Denmark House 104 during 1990-2000 may have noticed it was not the cleanest and tidiest room. And I think the one time that I ever saw Anne with a frown on her face was when she was determined to get us to clean. And she came in and just had this determination mindset, you know, I'm going to gather you all, we're going to go right now and get the brooms, we're going to do it right here and now. I think that's the only time I saw her with a frown on her face, but every other time, we all remember the grin. One of the things I loved about Anne was that she would never say that it couldn't be done. She would never say, she had a hard time saying no to people. If you went to Anne and needed a cup of milk or an egg or just a cup of tea and a chat, she'd never turn you away. And I love that spontaneity about her. I remember one time, Casper here, we went for a walk along the upper road there past where the cabin was where Ulrich lived. And we were coming along, it was in the snow in the middle of winter, and we decided we didn't want to walk all the way back down, so I suggested taking a shortcut. And Anne just said, yeah, sure. So the three of us came tumbling down the hill. Wasn't quite as easy as we thought in the snow. Yeah, that's one of my favorite memories, just that kind of spontaneity. You know, here's a suggestion, let's do it, okay, let's have fun. In the years after leaving the college, obviously Anne's one of the people we had the most contact with, you know, keeping in touch with us for our reunion updates and helping people with university admissions and everything else. And I remember actually when Facebook started to come around, and Anne was one of the first people from the college that found me on Facebook, and then that was a great way to connect. And I remember there was a little phase where everybody was playing Scrabble on Facebook. And of course I was playing Scrabble with Anne, and I remember just having a great little conversation with her saying, you know, I wish we could chat more, I wish I could come and visit. And she said, well, hey, if all we do is play Scrabble on Facebook, then, you know, if that's the little contribution I have, then that makes me happy. And then, obviously, when Anne became ill and started to share her story, which, I mean, we all know what a generous person she was, right to the very end, generous in sharing her story and what was going on. I can't think of many people that would do that in a time that's often very, very private and very difficult for family. And she shared that story with everybody, and all you had to do was look at the comments on the blog, the comments on Facebook to see just how much love and warmth there was coming from all around the world. And you know, if you know, I'm sure we all wish that great wealth of love could possibly have allowed her to be here with us today. But I remember I had another conversation with her. It was probably in October or November last year, when she was online less. And I just said, you know, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And she said, well, she feels so lucky, so privileged, just because she felt that everything that she had in life, meeting all of us, all the other students that she'd met, all the experiences that she'd had, she felt privileged to have had such a wonderful life. And for me, I think that was just a great moment, you know, reminding us again of, you know, Anne's eternal optimism. I thought that was just fantastic. That instead of feeling that, or sharing, you know, the fear and everything else that you feel in that situation, she was just sharing just how lucky she felt that she had all of us. And you know, that's how I'll always remember her, and this is how I'll always remember her.
Our next speaker is well known to me. I'm married to her. It's Nikki. You perhaps may not have seen her very much this weekend. You don't know her, but there were times when I thought Anne was Nikki's sister, but Nikki didn't have, and Nikki thought Anne was her sister. They have a lot in common, and I think Nikki's going to share her thoughts with you right now. Nikki.
It's quite funny, really, what Chris was saying. I scribbled this morning on the top of my notes about Anne, generosity personified, because that's how I feel she was. This is a very personal recollection, so I hope you'll bear with me. But I feel I want to say this. Anne was my friend and my colleague. Both went hand in hand. It was a symbiotic relationship. We worked together in universities as counsellors, and when we started working together in August 2003, I knew nothing. Maybe a little bit about UK universities, but absolutely zero about the US, Canada, and even the rest of the world. But fortunately, Anne was in charge, and as I've written, she was generosity personified. She shared everything with me, patiently answering the dimmest, dumbest questions that I put to her, like things like, well, what is SATS? You know, I think that. You know that? And it would be calmly explained, and she never made me feel sort of stupid or dim, which I certainly was. Because some people I've worked with over the years, and there have been many years, as you can tell from my colouring, some of the people I've worked with, and perhaps you come across people like this, they want to keep information to themselves. They want to keep their hands on the reins. They know about shortcuts and think they watch you sort of flounder around and then they say, oh, if you'd have done something, yeah, right. But not Anne. Generous, always, always generous with her knowledge, her experience and time, whatever the time. Fortunately, we worked well together. We quickly found that we had the same sort of anal response to office work and efficiency. Our respective responses to organisational problems were almost identical. It was uncanny. We both understood the excitement and the stresses of UWC life, for you, the students, for the staff, for our friends. This year, 2003-2004, was all too short because it finished with JP taking her off to Italy. But before she left, for the last month or so, we embarked on an intensive sort of training schedule, filling out as far as possible the stuff I'd missed, not understood, or completely hadn't come across. She would say, oh, you need to know this. Fantastic. We played hypothetical counselling games where she would make up, you know, sort of students, this girl from so-and-so, this boy from such and such, and subjects they were doing, what their personalities were like. How would you counsel them? And it was great. We had a good laugh because she would have used quite a lot of you as sort of imaginary or real people. And I learned so much from her, and it was great fun. There was lots and lots of laughter. When she'd left RCN, I had a safety net. Her. I could phone her. I could email her. We chatted. You know, I'd be working, chat would come up, and oh, how are you doing? And oh God, it's raining. And oh, had a good night last night. You know, we went to the trattoria. And lovely, lovely. So I could write to her. You know, help. What do I do in this situation? New situation. And then, for various reasons, in the autumn of 2005, I was completely on my own. I had no help, nobody to fall back on, because Bruce had left. I had another cohort of 100 students to deal with, and this is where JP was the generous one. Because he let her come here for a term, away from Italy, and she stayed with John and I in the house, and again, helped me. Wonderful. And I do thank you for that. Yeah. We were also very lucky, Anne and I, to go on these UWC counselling road trips, along with colleagues from our other sister institutions. They're usually organised and paid for by the Davis Foundation. And we had a great time. Anne was always a leading light, authoritative, always again generous in sharing her experience and ideas with all of us. The university visiting deans, who I'm sure you remember came by from time to time in your time here, they grew over the years with the Davis scheme. Everybody wanted to come to Red Cross because we have such fantastic students from such varied, interested backgrounds and committed students. So we got lots of visitors. Once you went to Duino,